Hey guys, welcome back to Inside the Five. It's Sav.
It's Griff.
And it's Will.
And today we're going to be recapping the Elite Eight, talking about each matchup that happened over the weekend. And we're going to be talking about the Celtics as they gear up for their playoff run as they just earned the first seed. I'm excited. Let's dive right into it.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Inside the Five. We're going to get things started off here talking about the Elite Eight that happened this past weekend. We're going to get right into it, starting off number 5 seeded Houston, number 2 seeded Villanova, the American versus the Big East. Overall, I think a great game, maybe the most technical game, I'd say, of the whole tournament, where it was just all about defense. It was all about shooting free throws. Stav, I said free throw. I saw you get happy. I'll let you cover Villanova.
Okay, well, what have I said all tournament, even before the tournament? Free throws win you championships, especially in March Madness. And we saw Nova going 100% from the line, 15 of 15. You don't see that in the college game nowadays. You don't even see that in the NBA. So clearly that was a difference as they only notched out this low-scoring game by 6. I mean, that's almost half their points, around 40% of their points came from the line this game. So that proves you hit your free throws, you win games. And we'll kind of get into it in some of the other games. But free throws win you championships. And this is why I've had Villanova going so far in my bracket. And that's why I've been so high on them, because of this exact reason. And it came true.
Right. And Houston, which I think has been a great team all season. I think they had a great season, a great little run in the tournament. This is kind of exactly where I thought their ceiling was. So it kind of makes sense losing to Villanova. A great defensive team, and they showed it. Their big issue, and it was pretty obvious, was their ability to score, and their ability to score on kind of half-court sets. They are so good when they make the defensive play and they go out on break. They're such an athletic team. All 5 men on that team are some of the fastest people on the court at a time, and just couldn't get it done because Villanova they weren't really making their shots, but they were slowing down the pace of this game. The only way that Houston could have possibly won this game was by keeping up the tempo. Villanova slowed it down. They hit all 15 of their free throws. They got to the line. A good amount of shots from the free throw line. You hit all of them. That's 15 more points for your squad. They won the game by 6. I'm in shock of how low of scoring this game was, because I thought Villanova, honestly, at one point, I thought Villanova was just going to turn up and go off. Houston only hit 1 3-pointer the whole game. Like I said, just not a good team unless they can really get out there in the break. And that's kind of the difference against that kind of style of team. I guess Villanova heading to the Final Four. We'll cover the game on who they're going to play next, but do you see them getting to the national championship right now after a tough victory like that?
I think a tough victory like this, there's a lot of good and bad things that you can take away from it. I think the good can really outweigh the bad in this situation. Playing a tough game against a good Houston team, especially in March Madness where you don't really know what's going to happen. Anything can literally happen. I feel like games that you kind of pull out somehow, kind of find a way to win, like Stav said early on before March Madness started, I feel like that really says who you are as a team. So because it was such a close game, because it's Houston, they're a good team, Nova's 2 seed, I really feel like they can, I don't know if they have what it takes to really pull away, make it to the final, but I think any given day they could have a chance.
I've been high on Villanova all tournament. As we know, I've been a huge advocate for them in their run. They're not making it to the finals. We'll talk about it more in depth on Wednesday or on Friday's episode, but Justin Moore, I think he's out. I'm sorry, I think he's out, right? I think that's set in stone.
I believe so. Yeah.
So I don't really think. They hypothetically, if you really want to talk about it, they should have lost this game. You never think a team's going to shoot 1 of 20 from 3, and Houston did that. Give all the credit in the world to Villanova's defense, I want to say, but gotta think someone's going to make Kansas is probably going to make more than 1 3. and you only scored 50 points, which you're gonna lose. You can't score only 50 against Kansas if you want to win. So I don't really think
can't.
they're probably not going to advance.
In my opinion, against a solid team, out of all the solid teams in Houston, out of the American, not a Power 5, but I'd call Houston one of the better basketball colleges in the country in the past 5 years. They've had a lot of good runs. I think they had a great team this year as a 5 seed. This is the only team that you can beat by scoring 50 points, just because they rely so heavily on their defense that if you shut them down on defense, then they're screwed. Because think about it, they only scored 50 points, Villanova did, but they only 44. That was a great defensive effort for them against a very athletic team. And it was a lot easier that Houston could not hit their 3 balls. They took 20 of them. They only hit 1. Imagine if even if they hit 2 more, they hit 2 games. So a little bit of luck on their side. That's how March Madness works. Moving on to the next game, we have my Arkansas Razorbacks, not actually, against the Duke Blue Devils. A tough loss for Arkansas. They made it pretty far, though, Elite Eight. They lost 78-69. I'm so mad about this game, but Will, I'll let you get into it before I do.
I can understand people being mad about this game. I understand it. In my opinion, I feel like Duke just really outskilled them. To be honest, you could just tell. Arkansas was playing their defense, but Arkansas also looked helpless because Duke was just scoring at will.
Yes.
They really didn't have a chance at all, even though it was closer than it says it is. I just think even looking at how close it got, they didn't really actually have a chance.
I'm in total agreement with what Will just said. This whole game from the start, I remember in the first half, I went to my roommate and I told him, because he's a Duke fan, I'm like, Duke's going to win this game. I don't want to hear it. I'm admitting they're going to win right now. Don't talk to me after the game. Because it was so clear that they were going to win. They were dominating the entire game. They controlled everything. Duke's stars really came out to play. When Duke's firing on all cylinders, it's almost impossible to stop them. And obviously we're going to get into it next episode, but I'm scared of Duke right now.
Yeah.
And I hate to admit it. I hate to admit it. I want to say that. I want to reiterate how much I hate to admit it, but I'm admitting it. They're scary.
No. So the reason why I'm so mad at this game is just straight up because Duke just had the best game of their season, in my opinion, I'd say. You beat a team that's very solid, very athletic. They have the guy in J.D. Note. Duke goes out there. Paolo Banchero actually looks like he could possibly be a good basketball player, which I haven't seen from him in months. Ever since the cramping issue started, at the beginning of the season, I haven't seen him play like that since that. Their big man, Williams, Duke's big man, I don't know his first name because I honestly couldn't care less about the college or the university, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a disgrace to the state of North Carolina, to be honest. They had it close. Arkansas did. They had it close with about 6 minutes left. This is when I knew Arkansas was going to lose. Ready? I'm gonna give you a little breakdown of what happened. There's about 6 minutes, maybe 6 minutes and 4 seconds, something like that. There's a stoppage in play. I think it was out of bounds, and it was which way is this call going to go? And Coach K went up. He went over, talked to a ref out of nowhere. It's Duke's ball. I was like, okay, this game is over. But Duke's players did really stand out this game. They had everybody going. I'm mad. I'm not mad because of how this game ended. I thought Duke was going to win it in the first place. I'm mad that Duke had 4 players score double digits, 2 other players score 9 points. You know what I'm saying? They are solid. They had a very good game. And they shot well. They shot 54% from the field, 40% from 3, and they went 16 for 18 from the line. They had an amazing overall game on offense, on defense. All facets were working. Paolo Banchero went 4 for 11. He had a 3 ball. He hit 7 free throws. He went to the line, shot 8 free throws. If he can do that, If he can do that, Duke's unstoppable, and that's why I'm mad, because Banchero actually looks like what people are saying he's going to be, which is the right time to do it if you're in that position. So dangerous from Duke, very dangerous.
Well, I agree. I'm also scared of Duke, but I feel like at the same time, Arkansas, like they just played Gonzaga. They beat Gonzaga. Like they're
Yeah.
not going to beat the 1
that's
and the
very
2
true.
seed back-to-back games. Like it's just not going to happen.
I don't really care about Duke. I just think the only way, I keep jumping ahead. The only way I think that UNC is going to beat him is if Caleb Love, which is completely doable if he does what he's been doing all tournament. I don't think there's any
Yes.
stopping him. I don't think anyone Duke can stop him. And then if the other guys like RJ Davis and
RJ Davis.
Bangkot, if Armando Bacot, if he
Bacot.
does what he's been doing as well. We'll get into this more on Friday. I'm really excited to talk about the Final Four because I think this is a dream Final Four.
Too.
I mean, March Madness is dope with all
Awesome
the Cinderella
Final Four.
stories, like St. Peter's and all this stuff, all the underdogs winning. But then when it gets to the real nitty gritty of the Final Four Elite Eight, you want to see the best teams in because you want the best basketball. Like, we're going to talk about UNC and St. Peter's in a little bit, but yeah, good job, St. Peter's, but there was no way they were going to beat UNC.
No chance. And we'll switch over to that game. St. Peter's, it was about time. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
This is what happens every Cinderella run. Usually they end it in the Sweet 16. They made it one game further. They made history. I think we all knew going into this game they had absolutely no chance. Sometimes your magic just writes off. When you're going up against the blue blood, especially, 15 seed is not going to beat a blue blood unless it's Lehigh against Duke, unless it's Duke, of course, because they're losers.
Or Kentucky.
He beats them by 20. Oh, yeah, Kentucky. Also losers. So UNC put a little 20 burger on them, 69-49. Duke UNC is in the Final Four. I actually kind of want to talk about the Final Four of this episode. We're going to talk a little bit like while we're reviewing these games, but we're going to go more in depth on Friday's episode. But anyways, I mean, it was just about time that the Peacocks ended their run. Armando Bacot had 20 points. He had 22 rebounds. Such a great day. It's going to be an interesting matchup in the Final Four. I think UNC, if everything is clicking for that UNC squad, they have all they need to beat the Duke Blue Devils. And I think that Armando Bacot is peaking at the right time. I think the whole squad is peaking at the right time. So I'm liking UNC. You could say we had an easy game in the Elite Eight, but hello?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't hear me? My fault. You can say whatever you want about playing an easy team, but St. Peter's is a team that beat Kentucky. They beat a few more teams. They're gritty. And UNC just outpowered them, and that's exactly what we need. I think having a lot of strength, which UNC does, and having three different guys that can score wherever they want on the court is a big advantage for UNC. Overall, a great game. Will UNC in the Final Four for who knows how many? I think it was 16 times, something like that. Great feeling, Will. How was this game for you? How was this game against St. Peter's?
Honestly, I started watching it, then it got out of hand, and I was like, okay, whatever, I can relax now. Like going into the game, I was a little bit nervous, but at the same time, I was like, is St. Peter's really going to win this game? If we're going to if we think about it here, there's no way that I can't even say there's no way now because they made it all the way to the Elite Eight. But I don't know. This game scares me for Duke because I'm also scared of Duke, but I'm also scared that we got an easy game before we go play Duke in a bad way. Meaning we played a team that's good, but we also killed them. Now we have to go play pretty much one of the hottest teams in the country now with Duke. They just came off of their best game of the tournament, and we just played St. Peter's, the 15th
season,
seed.
I'd say.
Yeah, so I mean,
right.
To be fair, we have
taken
down UCLA and Baylor, and we already beat Duke at the end of the season. So why can't we beat them again is really the question. Because, I mean, I don't even know where to start. There's too many implications that could happen. I know we were talking about Bacot, but Bacot's been dealing with this funky injury with his back. So we don't really know what's going on with that. Obviously, he has time to kind of recover from that, which has been interesting. And then he also bumped his knee last night on under the basket, which I don't think that turned out to be anything serious. But there's just too many there's too many variables at this exact moment to even have a full out opinion on the game. Obviously, I'm rooting for UNC, but it's just Duke is just so scary.
Right, and it's going to be an interesting matchup. But the Elite Eight, wrapping up, we have number 10 Miami, number 1 Kansas, Stav, Kansas, my pick, your pick,
Yeah.
our pick. What a game! What
Yeah,
a
they
game.
dominated. I mean, all right, I don't even want to say they dominated because in the first half they were losing, but then something was said at halftime, and they're
No, they dominated.
The second half they dominated. They were down at halftime. I mean,
Yes.
Their coach walked in to the locker room, probably ripped them a new one. Probably was like, "You guys don't deserve to be a blue blood," like saying all this stuff. They come out and I think they start the half on an 8. I think one guy started the half on an 8-0 run, and then from that point on it was over. Like they out physical Miami, they outplayed Miami. They were faster, stronger, everything. They outplayed them in every single facet. One real point I wanted to talk about was Ochai Agbaji. He went backdoor on some dude, made him look stupid, and it had an easy dunk. They were passing. It was just a clinic. Kansas proved why they were the only 1 seed remaining in the tournament and why they deserve to be that spot. I love Kansas. I love the way they play, and I can't see them losing to Villanova.
I was going to say I really cannot see Kansas losing to Villanova. I think at the beginning of this tournament, I thought the floor for Kansas was honestly the national championship. And I thought whoever needed to step up was going to step up because I thought, as much as I love the Baylor Bears and I talked about them all season, I talked about Arkansas all season, we all knew Kansas was going to do this. We all knew Kansas was such an amazing team. They were waiting on someone to step up off the bench. And guess what? They got it out of Remy Martin. First off, the coolest name in college basketball. I don't care about Doug Eater. Remy Martin is the coolest name by far. The kid has stepped up big time. He's a transfer from Arizona State. Banged up his knee, came back, and he is producing off the bench. They have Ochai Agbaji on the court to start the game. Remy Martin comes out. They run a little front court, a little backcourt duo. It is amazing to watch. It is amazing basketball. Kansas, Blue Bud, true to it. The creator of basketball is Kansas, the Jayhawks. It's as simple as that. And I think when you need to ask this question about the Final Four, who's going to win? I think this is the most obvious game. I think this is a more obvious game than Duke UNC because Kansas just has it. They have the coaching. They have the players. They have the guys that are going to make shots, and they've proved it in so many different ways. They held Miami to 50, and they scored 76 points. That's in the Elite Eight. I don't care if Miami's a 10 seed. That's in the Elite Eight. They beat a team by 16 points. They beat Providence the game before that. They beat Creighton the game before that. They've had a tough schedule throughout March, and they're just rolling right through it. In my opinion, they were down to Miami at halftime. I don't even think this game was like a challenge to them. I think they were just came out sluggish. They had 2 games before this. They were maybe a little tired. Maybe they were a little mentally drained. And whatever happened at halftime, I think that's going to strike them. And I think they're going to come out of hot in the Elite Eight or in the Final Four. I think Kansas is legit. And I picked them at the beginning of the tournament to win it all. And I'm going to keep riding with them. I really, really do think that they're going to win it all. They are just clicking on all cylinders. They are playing pretty much almost perfect basketball, even though that's not possible, obviously. But, I mean, a great run from Kansas. Will, Kansas, are we sleeping on them, or do you agree with me?
I agree with you. I really don't see it. I really don't see Kansas losing in the Final Four. I don't really see them losing in the national championship either. I just think they're just too elite compared to anyone they play against. I feel like regardless of who wins on the other side, I really don't think any team has a chance.
I mean, this game was pretty self-explanatory. Obviously, the final score really did indicate how well Kansas played. I don't really think there's much more to talk about that one. So I kind of wanted to transition over to the Celtics and the run that they're on and how they've kind of hit a wall of adversity with Rob Williams being out for, I think, around 4 to 6 weeks, which really hurts them. He's their best defensive piece, in my opinion. And tonight, I think everyone's out tonight. I think Tatum, Brown, Al Horford, everyone's out tonight. Obviously, Rob Williams. So we might chalk this up as a loss. So we can say that we were the 1 seed for a period of time, but we're gearing up for the Heat game on Wednesday. Everyone's going to be back for that. That's a huge game. So I'm interested to hear what everyone's opinion is on this run, and can the Celtics end the season as a 1 seed? Will, what do you think?
I feel like we might not end up finishing the year's 1 seed. One, we don't have where tonight is probably going to end up being a loss. Miami game is going to be tough. I feel like we'll be able to escape a few games without Rob Will. It's going to be tough. I feel like we'll be able to manage. I'm honestly more scared for the playoffs now.
Yeah, it's
right.
it depends
It's such
on
a
who we
tough
face
situation.
in my opinion, it really depends on who we face in the first round. Because if we're facing a team like Charlotte, who really doesn't have that big of an inside presence, I'm not too worried if Rob Williams is out. I might sound cocky by saying that, but I really do think that our guards really match up well with a lot of these teams in the Eastern Conference, especially the lower seeds. Like maybe if we even run up against Cleveland, who doesn't have Jared Allen, I think we match up pretty well with them. I think Al Horford can hold his own. This is a speed bump. However, I really don't think that this is going to derail this team.
Right. So we're gonna lose tonight, as both of you have said. Like I actually cannot see us winning this basketball game. We're missing 4 of our starters, so it just makes sense. And the only starter that we have, no offense to him, is Marcus Smart, who, I mean, he's our captain, right? But like he's not gonna go out there and score 35 points for us. So I mean, if we're gonna pull off a win tonight, it's gonna be a miracle. If not, we're helping the Raptors stay out of that play-in. But with Robert Williams being out, Robert Williams is the focal point to our defense. I think he's our most important defensive piece. And I don't really even think it's that close. You could say it's Marcus Smart. And I think Marcus Smart, this is the way I'm going to put it. It might not make sense to you guys. I think Robert Williams is more important to our defense, but I think Marcus Smart is like probably more in position to make all defensive first team. You know what I'm saying? Like Marcus Smart is so awesome, right? But if he's not there, we have Derek White. Who are we going to rely on off the bench? It's going to be Daniel Tice for our center. Daniel Tice, not that great on the defensive side. Al Horford's going to be starting. He's going to be getting a lot more minutes in this first round. I think in the first round, no matter what, I think we're going to get by whatever team we face. But I think depending on the team we face, that's going to affect us a lot in the second round. I don't think we're going to finish the season as the 1 seed. If we finish in the 1 slot at the end of the regular season, I'll actually chalk that up as a miracle. Like I really just don't think that it's so difficult. The East is so difficult this year. People are rotating in and out. We see the Bulls now at the 5 seed, and not only do I not want to be the 1, just like the pressure of that without Robert Williams is kind of a big deal. And then you have to go out and face a 4 or 5 seed, which is either the Sixers or the Bulls. If we're a 2 seed, we might have to play the Nets. I don't even really want to be a 2 seed. I want to see us in the 3 slot because we get home court in the first series, taking on the Toronto Raptors. Excuse my stutter. That was embarrassing.
Or the Cavs, depending on how the whole
depending on how that shapes up to end
or
off the year. Yeah. So I mean I'd say it's either going to be the Bulls, the Raptors, or the Cavs because they're all within 2 games of each other. I would love to be in that 3 slot to face either 3 of those teams. I think we will get right by them. We'll play who would we play in the second round? We play
maybe
the winner
seed
of the Heat in the and you know what? I like playing against the Heat. I think we have what it takes to play against the Heat. So not only do I not think we're going to be the 1 seed, I don't really want to be the 1 seed, to be honest. I think if we are the 1 seed, we're going to have a very difficult time getting past these teams. Not in the first round, but in the second round, I think it'll be a little bit more difficult. I'd like to see us fall into a little 3 seed spot and with 7 games left in the season. I'm very excited to see how this team is going to form up without Rob Will. And I'm just praying that he comes back by the second round. But to be honest, dog, I don't really think he's gonna.
If I'm Rob Williams, I'm not returning this year. I think I mean, selfishly as a Celtics fan, I really do want to see him back on the court. However, if I'm Rob Williams, my entire game is based off my athleticism. If like I'm saying, if I'm Rob Williams, I'm an undersized center in the NBA. Like in all realisticness, he's 6'9", 6'10", whatever you want to call him. He relies so heavily on his athleticism to get his minutes. If he messes up his knee and doesn't have the same athleticism, as his career is done. And if I'm the Celtics, I'd probably sit him unless he's 110% ready to come back. And that's what the doctors are saying. That's what everyone's saying. Because Al Horford can't step in. Al Horford has obviously incredibly meaningful playoff minutes and great experience. And I do think he can step in. And Grant Williams, this team goes as far as Grant Williams and Al Horford take it. Because I trust Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum to do their thing. Then it comes down to the other two guys between Grant Williams and Al Horford. If Al Horford can step into that center role instead of the four and really command the paint, and if Grant Williams can kind of do what he's been doing in these past few weeks on our Celtics 7-game win streak rather, I have no reason to think that the Celtics can't really do what they've been doing with Rob Williams in the court. Obviously, it's a huge loss, but I think Grant Williams is a really good replacement to Al Horford, and Al Horford's a really good replacement to Rob Williams. And I'm more confident with Tice off the bench than I was with Ennis Freedom and all these other guys.
You're right, and I agree 100% with that. I think that Grant Williams is going to surprise us, and I've been down on him since we drafted him. But I think he's going to fill into this 4 spot pretty well on the offense. But I think it's going to force JT to potentially guard their 4, depending on who we really play. Because Grant, once again, also undersized. This team is, I mean, losing Rob Will. He's not the tallest, obviously, as we said, but he plays tall. He has a very long wingspan. He jumps out of the gym. He's, 6'9", but he plays like he's 7'1", and he's an athletic freak. Missing him out and looking at our lineup, Jason Tatum is probably the tallest person on our lineup right now because, Grant Williams is about the same height as Marcus Smart. And then JB is 6'5", 6'6". JT is listed at 6'8", but he's taller than Al Horford. Because I think Al Horford always is lying about his height just because he plays the center. He's listed at 6'10". There's no way that guy is 6'10". And he's 55 years old. He's all slunched over. He's not going to play like he's 6'10". But, he's going to do the best he can. I think it'll be enough for us to get us through a couple of rounds. I just have a quick question. This might not actually be a quick question, but I do have a question for you guys. This is going to be a great question because Will doesn't really know the full meaning of it. Will, what is our seed and what is the floor?
What?
My example of you not knowing it was when you said the Sox could get 95 wins, but then you're like, I can see them getting 100.
Relax.
So true ceiling.
Relax. Trying to think. I just don't see us staying at the 1. I feel like our ceiling will be a 2 or a 3. I feel like our floor at worst could be a 4 or 5. I don't think we drop that far.
And how about in the playoffs?
In the playoffs, without Rob Will, I think his rebounding is way too important. I think it's a little overshadowed in what we feel like Grant Williams can really bring to the table at this exact moment. I feel like we definitely can win the first round. The second round will be tough, but we'll make it through. We will probably lose in the third round.
That's fair. What about you, Stav?
I'm sticking with the ceiling. We're talking just about the playoffs right now. Ceiling's the NBA championship.
Yes.
I'm a firm believer in that. In 4 to 6 weeks, really, I think the calendar brings it to around the second round of the conference championship. If we make it to the finals, Rob Williams will play, and he will have many weeks rest. So, ceiling's the finals. I really am a strong believer in that. And I think the floor is the second round because who knows how the matchups work, depending on what seed and everything like that. But right now, I'm assuming we're going to be a 3 seed. Okay, so we'll get around the first round. The second round will be against a 2 seed who could either be Philly or Milwaukee. And I really do think we need Robert Williams in those series. Obviously, I think we can win, and we've proven to win in the past. without really a strong interior game because Joel Embiid goes out and gets his. Robert Williams isn't really a matchup on Embiid. It's usually Horford. It's just how the other guys can play defense against the Sixers. And Horford always guards Giannis. So it depends. Like I've said before, it depends. This team goes as far as Al Horford and Grant Williams take them because we trust JT, Smart, and JB. That's the given. It's just how far the other guys can step in and replace. So ceiling NBA championship. That's very, very ceiling-esque, I guess. But the floor is probably the second round.
Yeah, so I'm gonna agree with you partially. Like very similar. I agree with you with our ceiling is a second round exit. It could just be one of those years where we get screwed in a matchup. We don't have Rob Will. If you asked me 24 hours ago, we're recording this on Thursday, by the way. Like on Monday. This isn't a Thursday. Sorry, long week. We're recording this on Monday. If you asked me literally 24 hours ago about what could screw us over, I would say nothing. But now, missing a key starter, I really think that the floor for us is a second round exit and a tough loss, a devastating loss, I would say, unless we play the Bucks or the Sixers. But if we line up against the Miami Heat, who I also don't think the Miami Heat are going to lock up the 1 seed either. I think it's either up to the Celtics, the Bucks, or the Sixers. I like the Heat, and they're a great regular season team. So if either the Celtics or the Heat, who are currently the 1 and 2, I don't think either of them are actually going to get the 1 because looking at the 3 and the 4, they're just a half game behind. It's the Bucks, it's the Sixers, such solid teams. If we match up against the Bucks or the Sixers, I think we could definitely lose to both of those teams in the second round. And I don't like saying it, but you have to have some truth in there. I think our ceiling though is a loss in the NBA championship. I don't think that we have enough to get over that hump of winning it all. I think we're going to get to the NBA championship if we do. And I think that we're going to play a tough team, which is the Phoenix Suns. If we play anybody other than the Phoenix Suns, I'm very confident in us beating them. I think we've done a great job against the Western Conference all year. I think we have it against the Grizzlies. First off, I don't think the Grizzlies are going to make the championship, even though in the 2 seed. I don't think the Warriors really have it either. Looking at the Western Conference, it's actually kind of crazy because, in my opinion, the second best team and the third best team actually in that conference are the 5 and the 6 seed in the Jazz and the Nuggets. I think those are the best proven playoff teams that I would trust in the playoffs this year. So I think if the Celtics get there all the way to the finals, as long as they're not playing the Suns, then they'd win it. But I'm kind of almost 100% sure that the Suns are going to win the NBA championship this year. If it's not the Suns, then I think it's going to end up being the Milwaukee Bucks. But yeah, I think a nice little championship loss. It's going to be a sad one, but it's gonna show a lot for our future. Rob Will's going to come back, play a full 82-game season next year. We're going to be absolutely moving. It's going to be a great year. Here's what I'm kind of comparing this year to. I think this is kind of a Suns-esque year, like last year's Suns. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but we just kind of came out of nowhere, right? We got a few pieces like the Suns did, and we're making a run. Might not slow down ever, because they barely lost in the NBA championship last year. They started off this year hot. I have not seen them slow down. I think that next year, that's how the Celtics are going to play. We're going to come out firing. We're going to lock up a 1 seed. We're going to potentially win the NBA championship even next year. That's just the way that I see it, Stav. I don't know if you agree with my Suns Celtics comparison.
I love the comparison, to be honest. I really think, there are a lot of similarities, as you've stated. However, the Suns were very fortunate last year with how injuries kind of stacked up. They faced Jamal Murray-less Nuggets team. They played the Lakers in the first round without AD. There's a lot of things that kind of factored in. However, the Celtics are kind of on the opposite end of that spectrum where they are getting bit with the injury bug right now. A lot of it may be precautionary, but this kind of reminds me, I put this in the speaker notes. This is the 6th time in 6 years that the Celtics lose a key piece of their team right before or during the playoffs. 2017, we saw it with Isaiah Thomas hurting his hip. Kyrie in 2018 before. Marcus Smart in 2019. Gordon Hayward in 2020. Jaylen Brown last year, and now this year, Rob Williams. So we have been bit with a little bit of an unlucky stretch. However, next year, there's no reason for me why the Celtics can't win a championship. I'm sorry. I know this is really getting far ahead. All of our young assets are locked up. Everyone's getting better. Jason Tatum is making tremendous strides every year, who, in my opinion, if he had one better month this year, he would be the lock for MVP. Marcus Smart should be a lock for Defensive Player of the Year. His impact on the court on both ends, I mean, it doesn't really matter about what he does on offense, but defensively, his impact is unreal. It changes the game, how he hustles, how he does every single thing on defense, arguably better than any other guard in the league. Jaylen Brown is fitting into this number 2 role perfectly. He's scoring at will. Him and Jason Tatum, when they score 30, it's like art in motion. And we still have all these guys locked up. Rob Williams fully healthy. Al Horford's going to be returning, I believe. Derek White, Peyton Pritchard still on his rookie deal. Grant Williams still on a rookie deal. We can add one more piece. An ideal piece for me for the Celtics to add is Kyle Anderson. I think he'd fit into this bench role perfectly. He has experience with Derek White and Ime Udoka. I think that is a dream addition for the Celtics. But I don't really want to look. I mean, this will be off-season talk. I think the Celtics really do have. I think everyone's starting to write them off again right now because of this loss of Robert Williams. This is when the Celtics thrive, guys. They were 18-21, and we are now the best team in the East. So one player really doesn't, in my opinion, we still have our stars. I mean, we're losing a big part of our defense, but we still have our stars. Okay, Rob Williams, he's out. That's going to lead to a few more possessions and a few more points for the other team. I think Jason Tatum's going to score 10 more points a game, and so is Jaylen Brown. So I'm really confident in the Celtics. I'm really high on them right now. I really don't want to be brought down to earth, I guess.
Right. And who was the name that you said that you would like to see him add in the offseason?
Kyle Anderson from Memphis.
Kyle Anderson from the Grizzlies, the slowest player in the NBA.
Yes.
That man is insane. He's a very good player though, obviously, but though he just I've seen him on the fast break way too many times get caught up to. That would be so frustrating. He's a great player, but it's just he makes so many good plays in a half court set. So it would still be a very key addition. It would be a great addition. I think no matter what, once again we said, I'll just say one thing. No matter what, we have to make some moves in the offseason, even if, say, God touched us and we made the NBA championship and won it. I think no matter what, we should still try to make a couple moves, get a couple more pieces to kind of gear up for the long run. That would be a great piece. This is an interesting year from the Celtics. This is going to be a big test year for the big duo of JB and JT. This is the beginning. This is truly the beginning of hopefully what's going to be happening for the next 10 years. I could really see it. I need solid basketball from them for the next 10 years until they're done. And I think these are some guys that are all around the same age, except for Al Horford, who's 75 years old. But so many young guys, right? And we see it in Memphis, where it's Ja, it's all of them, all the young guys having fun out there. I think we underrate how young the Celtics are just because JT and JB have been doing it since their rookie season. So now it's we've seen them deep in the playoffs so many times. These guys are 25 and under, to be honest. Rob Will, Marcus Smart's 26, 27, but we have some guys, right? And we have some young guys. They're all around the same age. It allows them to click, have that chemistry. The post-game workouts are the greatest thing that an NBA team can do. It shows that you want to get better even after a game, and it shows that it's not just 1, 2, 3 guys. Jason Tatum puts it on a Snapchat story after every win that they're in the gym, right? And you see pretty much the whole team in that one little workout room in the TD Garden. It's great to see. I'm hoping we see that for years, and I'm so glad that we're so young because those guys are going to grow up together. As professional basketball players, they're going to click together. They're all going to know their strengths, their weaknesses. It's going to be amazing. The Celtics, this is the first year of many that we can see them in the finals, in my opinion. And I think that Kyrie's phase was cool. Isaiah's phase was a little oh my gosh, can we actually do something? It was just a bridge. in my opinion. Kemba was a bridge in between Kyrie and now Jason Tatum to be the star of the show. And Jason Tatum has stepped up very, very well. I think he averaged 33 points a game in the past month. He's
35.
pretty much locked up March month of the player. Wow, player of the month. Jeez, such a tough day. Such a tough day. But like the Celtics, they're surprising me. But they're surprising me because I thought they were going to ease into this. You know what I'm saying? Like we just came out of All-Star break and we just started bugging out, and I don't think we're going to stop ever again. And Will, I don't know how you feel, but do you agree with me? This is the start of what's going to be happening in the next 5, 6, 7 years.
Let's see. I agree almost 100% with you and Stav on this one. I'm almost seeing eye to eye with what you guys are saying. I'm a little less optimistic in a non-hating way, because obviously the Celtics are my team. I'm just a little less optimistic in terms of this year, and I kind of agree with the Suns comparison. I just kind of feel that there's a lot more work to be done for our situation and the trends of the NBA. I feel like obviously we're stepping up as a team. Our duo is stepping up, but I feel like in terms of the trends, we need to be able to keep up with what's coming at us. And obviously, like we are undersized at the big. We are hurt from Rob Will, and like he's a very key piece to us. But I feel like obviously if we can add a solid center to our lineup, then we're really moving. Like I'm not saying I don't agree that what we have can't work and we can't win an NBA championship with what we have. And even if we decide to keep most of what we had this year, next year, which is what it's looking like, we can't win it next year. It's just there's still a lot more work to be done.
For the first time, I want to say since the Isaiah Thomas era, the Celtics have an identity, which is we're going to out-physical you, we're going to play defense, and we're going to run on you, and you can't do anything about it. You know, in the past with Kemba, Kyrie, we had that score first point guard, and the other guys were kind of like, what's my role? What's my job? What am I going to do? Like, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are so talented that they would be a number one option in any other team. And those guys being our scorers, Grant Williams stepping in and knowing his role, Marcus Smart finally adjusting to his role. I've been really hard on Marcus Smart in the past because I really do think that he's more of a facilitator than anything else, and he used to try and score a lot, trying to get his. But he's stepping into this point guard assist mentality of team first, which has really sparked them on this run. But a team is dangerous when you give them an identity and when they know how they should play, and everyone buys into this mentality. So that's why I really do think that this team has separated themselves from the past teams. And they have 7 games left, right? So we're at Toronto tonight versus Miami Wednesday, versus Indiana, and then versus Washington, at Chicago, at Milwaukee, at Memphis. Here's what my prediction for the last 7 games of the year. Tonight we're going to lose. So loss, we're going to beat Miami, we're going to beat Indiana, we're going to beat Washington, we're going to beat Chicago, we're going to beat Milwaukee, and we're going to lose to Memphis. So I think we're going to go 5-2 over the last stretch. I'm saying we're going to lose to Memphis in the last game of the year because I think everyone's going to be benched. I think that we're going to lock up whatever seed we're in by that point, and I think we're better than every other team that we're facing. So.
Right, I guess I'll throw mine out as well. Give a little game by game. We play Toronto tonight. Everybody's out. Chalk that up as a loss. We play Miami. I think we beat Miami. We forced Miami down. We beat Indiana. I think Indiana is going to sit a lot of people as well. They're not in the playoff picture at all, right? Indiana?
No.
At the moment, because, they blew everything up. Miles Turner's already gone. I think Indiana's going to be sitting people already by this game, kind of like what OKC's doing over in the Western Conference. We're going to beat Washington because Kyle Kuzma's not going to drop 50. We're going to beat Chicago because they're frauds. And I think we're going to lose to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee's going to clinch the 1 seed with that game. And I think we're going to lose to Memphis because I think we'll already have our spot clinched, whether that be the 2 or the 3. I think we're going to finish the season 4-3, and I don't think it's going to be a bad 4-3. I think it's going to come down to that Milwaukee game, and I think if we win that will be like the last meaningful game of the season. And then we go out and we play Memphis. I don't think Ja's going to be playing for Memphis. I don't think JB or JT will be playing for the C's. So I wouldn't really count that as like an actual loss, but it's going to be a loss in the real record. So I think a little 4-3 to end the season. Maybe lock up the 2 or the 3 seed, and we'll go from there from the playoffs. What about you, Will?
I pretty much, as you guys were going over it, I was looking to see what I was about to say, and I kind of side eye with you, Griff, on 4-3. I think going back to what I was saying before about the little bit of being a little less optimistic is because of our injuries with this run. I feel like 4-3 would make sense. We need to be able to rest up. But every time we see these injuries, we go on a run. We make our moves. We look fantastic. We're like, wow, someone stepped up. We're doing great. And then all of a sudden, our whole team hits a crash because we're exhausted.
Right.
I feel like the most that we can get in these games, the earlier we can clinch our seed, the better off we will be in our playoff run.
That's very true. I think we've seen it so many times before. I want to say that, like, the best example of what you said was the bubble Celtics, where we played Miami. Both teams were tired, but Miami just out-mentaled us at that point. Like, Jimmy Butler is the strongest mental person in the NBA, and that's the reason why they won that. And I could totally see that happening again this year. A big thing, though, that's a lot different than the bubble is the fact that we're going to be playing in the Garden 100% capacity. I think that I might just be saying this because I am a Boston Celtic fan. I think we have the best home court advantage in the Eastern Conference. And I'm trying to say this in an unbiased way. I don't think it'll ever come out as an unbiased opinion because I am a Celtics fan. But I'm looking at these teams. The only team that I could see actually being better than us is Milwaukee. Milwaukee gets crazy every single game of the season. But I think we're up there with them. I think Philly's a bunch of fake fans, a bunch of frauds, a bunch of losers, probably Duke University fans. Chicago doesn't get loud at all. Their 5 seed doesn't even matter. Toronto's pretty good, but honestly, Toronto isn't actually good at basketball, so their fans can only do so much. Miami, a bunch of rich people, don't actually invest into the game like we do. I think we have something different. I think home court's going to help us a lot throughout this playoff run. And if we get put up against Milwaukee, that's going to be the real test for the season. I think that'll be the most difficult series that we could possibly play in the Eastern Conference. I think that the teams that we need to look out for the most, one in the Eastern Conference and one in the Western Conference, if we make it, Milwaukee from the East. The Bucks are just insane. And the Suns in the West. The 2 teams that faced off last year in the championship and the finals. In my opinion, those are the 2 teams that, not that I don't want to play, because I want all the smoke right now. Like, I'm confident in the Celtics. But those are the 2 toughest opponents that, when I see them and I factor in everything, this is going to be the toughest possible 2 series that we could play in the playoffs. I think if we play both of them, so obviously we'd have to play Milwaukee first. I think they'll tire us out. And I think the Suns will just smack us, to be honest, because you're right, Will. If we're relying on one less person off the bench because we need them to start, which is Grant Williams, people are going to get tired. It's just what happens. 7-game series, you have to play, 4 of them? Yep. You cannot take all of those to 7 or 6, to be honest. So it's going to be a long road. If Rob Will can come back, though, say if Rob Will comes back, we're in the 3rd round, I think we could actually win the NBA championship. That's a spark plug. That is actually a big momentum shift. That is a big momentum shift. I think that's going to be the key.
I agree. And in the similar years that we were talking about, honestly, the COVID year was one of them, but I think the other one was Terry Rozier year. We kind of faded out.
Yep.
We faded out completely.
When Kyrie went out?
Yeah, because like in the bubble, we didn't fade out. Like we just got exhausted, but we still fought, and like we were still in those games. Just as soon as when we had Rozier and once we faded away, we just completely lost it as a whole team.
That's true. That's very true. In that Bucks series was an amazing run, and it's funny because I couldn't see us burning out, and before we had Rob Will, the fact that we only lose one person is like, well, you only lost one guy, but at the same time, it's only 5 guys on court at a time, right, Will? And we've only been running 3 guys off a bench the whole season. So this is what I think needs to happen. And Stav, I'm going to name a couple of guys off the bench, and then I'll let you take over what you think really needs to happen for the Celtics. Who needs to step up? I'm going to name 2 names because I already know Derek White needs to play good, and I think he will. Peyton Pritchard, Aaron Nesmith, the 2 sophomores. I think Nesmith's going to have to get a couple more minutes a game in the playoffs before Rob Will comes back. And obviously, they don't play the same position, but it's a guy that can run, that can stretch his legs out, that can shoot the ball, and that can play against a decent wing, can play defense against a decent wing. We need Aaron Nesmith to have a solid outing throughout this playoff series. And Peyton Pritchard just needs to keep shooting the ball the way that he has been. Stav, I'll pass it over to you. What are a couple of guys that you think need to step up?
Okay. I'm going to say 3 names, and I'm going to explain why. Obviously, like you said, Peyton Pritchard, Aaron Nesmith. My little ace in the hole here is Sam Hauser. That name might come as a surprise to you, but if Aaron Nesmith doesn't step up and he can't play, expect to see Sam Hauser get some minutes. Sam Hauser is a sniper. He can hit shots no matter who's on the court. He will shoot and he will make his shots. I've never really seen him play on the defensive end, which might kind of hurt his chances of playing meaningful minutes. But if we need a spark plug, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ime Udoka throw him in there. You know, we're down by 10, especially over the stretch of the next set. Tonight, especially, I'm very excited to see because I think both Nick Stauskas and Sam Hauser are going to play a lot. And I think Sam Hauser is going to earn some minutes, especially as his team goes forward. But this team right now, what we see tonight, everyone's trying out for this playoff roster. I call the playoff roster around the 8-9 guys that will get minutes. Right now, obviously, we have our
the playoff
5.
rotation.
Yeah, playoff rotation. So we have our starting 5, but then we have 2 guys on the bench who are guaranteed to get minutes, who, in my opinion, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard. Everyone else is trying out tonight. Who knows who's going to step up? Who knows who's going to be that next guy off the bench? And championship teams have guys who can step up like effortlessly, and I really do think that's going to be Sam Hauser.
That's a good point. And another name that I'm excited to see tonight that I'm not necessarily saying that he needs to step up, or I'm not even saying that he's probably going to get in, but a young guy from Chattanooga who's been doing very well for us in the G League just got bumped up. Matt Ryan, not the guy in Indianapolis or wherever the hell he got traded to, but Matt Ryan from Chattanooga. He's a 6'7" forward. He's been doing very well in the G League, and I want to see him get in. This is going to be his first NBA game tonight against the Raptors. I'm guessing he's going to get in just due to the fact that we are missing so many names. 4 people being out. I'm hoping that we get some quality minutes from everybody tonight. And this is the perfect game. This is a Brad Stevens game where Brad Stevens would stretch out and literally play every single person, even if nobody was hurt. And it doesn't matter what the score is, but Brad just has it set that he wants to see who's going to play good in these different situations. So I think this is a big night for some different guys. And a name that I like to look at tonight is Matt Ryan. I think he shoots the ball very well. He gets to the bucket, and I'm kind of scared of his defense, and I'm hoping he proves me something tonight and maybe put in little splits during the playoffs just to help with the lack of scoring if need be. So I'm hoping that Matt Ryan kind of finds his place. He's a 24-year-old rookie, which is very old, same age as Jason Tatum. So yeah, like a couple of names. Will, you got any?
I mean, I can't really name any more guys than what you guys already said.
Yeah,
so.
we've named. I was gonna say, like, I was scared to ask you because I think we just named the whole roster. Because I mean the other guys probably won't even play ever.
Yeah, no one else.
So
and like,
yeah, there's
I think Nesmith might be the biggest key that we have. I think he'll be the biggest player that we have in this run as a spark plug.
Right, I agree 100% off the bench. I just think his versatility, which hasn't been maximized, if it is maximized, and that's not being I'm not saying being maximized by Coach Ime, but by himself. Like if Nesmith can take the next step for himself, I think this is a big week to do it, and he can add a couple more points a game to his stats, and I think he can be a little piece in the playoffs. I really think that Nesmith And when we drafted him, he was the best shooter in the draft, right? And he had not a great rookie year. We saw Pritchard step up, and then we saw Pritchard kind of downslope at the beginning of this year. Pritchard getting hot at the perfect time. Pritchard's been on an absolute run. I'm not scared of him. Like, I'm not scared of him messing up. But I'm scared of Nesmith because Nesmith's super inconsistent. But he has the size, the speed, the shooting ability to be that piece off the bench, Will, that could really help us out. So I agree 100%. I think Nesmith is my number one guy that like really just needs to make some moves. And it's not necessarily the fact that Robert Williams is out. I'm saying in general, with or without Robert Williams, we kind of need Nesmith to be that wing off the bench that gives JB and JT a break.
Agreed.
All right. Do we have anything else to cover for the Celtics? Because I kind of want to go off script here and talk about something funny that happened last night about this whole. I mean, do we have anything else about the Celtics?
No, I have nothing for the Celtics.
Chris Rock last night and Will Smith. That is the funniest thing I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Okay. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who've been living under a rock, Chris Rock made fun of Will Smith's wife. Her hair. Apparently, she has a condition in which she can't grow hair. Will Smith took it personally, walked up to the stage, and slapped him in front of the entire world, and then screamed at him. I'm not going to repeat what he said, but okay, this is just hilarious. First off, I mean, I think the reactions of everybody else is hilarious. On Twitter, there's a user with an @WillSmith who is not the Will Smith that did this. He's some Minecraft YouTuber. And Stephen A. Smith keeps berating him, saying, @Will Smith, you are a coward. What are you doing? You are hurting a man's legacy, all this stuff. And this guy's just like a Minecraft YouTuber. And Stephen A. Smith keeps tweeting at him. And Barstool is they have a field day. They have content for the next month. This is just hilarious. I think this is a good thing. I mean, to kind of distract us from the world of sports, maybe. But what were your initial reactions to this when this actually happened?
All right, so I was like, I was not watching. Was it the Oscars? The Emmys?
Yeah.
Was something like I don't really watch award shows like that unless I'm at home with my family. I'm at school right now. I think last night. What was I even watching last night? No, I was playing video games last night. And doing homework, of course. But when it happened, it instantly went to Twitter and Instagram. They blurred out like right after he got slapped. Chris Rock was like Will Smith, and then like it all got muted. But I found Stav actually sent the unmuted version of it, so I appreciate that. My first reaction was, why did he slap him? Because when he made the joke, Will Smith was dying. Like, I don't know if you guys saw it. He thought it was hilarious. He looked over at his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. By the way, very successful woman. She was dead staring at Will Smith. Like, you need to go do something. So Will Smith automatically was like, okay, I guess I need to go do something. I think that's why he did that. He set the tone for that relationship. And you know, I'm glad this is like it's like TMZ. That relationship has had their problems in the past, and that little table talk that they had last August was insane. The fact that Will Smith did that after that was, I mean, she's got him like this at this point. What a win for Jada Pinkett Smith. I think it's a loss for Chris Rock because he got rocked.
He got humiliated.
And you know what? He took it. Like, he actually took it. And he didn't rub his face or anything. He didn't move. He literally got slapped, came back up, and was like, Will Smith just slapped the blank out of me. Like nothing happened. And then he was like, I thought it was a good joke. And then Will Smith started screaming at him. Yeah. I think it was unnecessary. First off, it's on national television. So, like, you never want to answer words with violence. Second reaction, though, that was the funniest thing that's happened maybe this year. I mean, yeah, a couple months in, I guess I'll say it. That's the funniest thing that's happened in 2022. Will, do you agree?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, it was just more of like a wild thing more than like funny in itself. It's like the situation is funny because like I was watching it live and I was genuinely so confused at like it just took an absolute turn. So like from watching it live, he made the joke. It cut to Will Smith because they were cutting to so many people in the crowd while he was like joking on a bunch of people. And then it cut back. All of a sudden, it cut back to Chris Rock after he made the joke. Will Smith is like charging the mound on Chris Rock and just rocks him. And I was just like, what just happened? And then it cuts back over the screen. It just says Oscars on it. And then we don't see what happens. Then it cuts back to Will Smith screaming. Then it cuts back to Oscars. And then nothing happened. Like we couldn't hear anything. And like the clip that Stoff sent us was from like Japan. Like it was just
and then like Australia also didn't unmute. It was just Australia.
Yeah, it was like out of control. And then the best part is afterwards, Chris Rock, like I couldn't even tell if it was real. Like it looked fake as it was happening.
That was real.
It had to be real because it wouldn't make sense the second reaction. Like if it was fake, I'd understand the slap, and then like if there was no reaction after the slap from Will Smith, then I would have thought it was fake.
Yeah.
You wanted the reason why I kind of wanted to bring this up. I saw the funniest tweet. I started dying laughing in the middle of class. I had to explain. This was actually kind of awkward for me, but so I saw a tweet where it was like Chris Rock is lucky AF that all the other dudes that Jada slept with aren't charging him as well.
Half of the crowd at the Oscars would have gone up.
I had to explain the joke to my class, but it was pretty funny. I mean, we are a sports podcast, and I really think that this is necessary to talk about. And
no, I like the fact that we're talking about things other than sports.
And I kind of want to relay this back to another joke, kind of transition to the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about. But so Nick Castellanos, as we know, signs with the Philadelphia Phillies. Nick Castellanos.
Not a name I want to hear.
Is exactly a guy who loves to hit home runs, but at the worst possible times.
Wait, so what happened? I actually don't know what happened. I watched the video and was confused. What even happened?
Okay, so Nick Castellanos steps up to the plate for his first at bat in spring training with the Phillies.
I saw the ding. That was crazy.
As the Blue Jays announcer was apologizing for a DUI, Nick Castellanos takes the ball.
Wait. So the announcer had a DUI and he was apologizing for it?
It was either him or he was apologizing on behalf of somebody. And as he was doing that apology, Nick Castellanos hits a home run. And then he hit another
the Gonzaga coach.
Yeah, probably, or his dogs or whatever. But Nick Castellanos also hit another home run today, a day after. I mean, this is kind of a stretch, but a day after the incident last night with Chris Rock.
I count that. It's a 24-hour span of bad things happening. I remember last year. Wow, oh my gosh, it was actually so messed up. I think it was when Hank. No, was it last year that Hank Aaron passed away? I bet the next day that Castellanos would hit a home run, and he did.
There were so many things that Castellanos hit a home run after last year. It was actually outrageous.
Yeah,
where like if anything bad happened, you could just turn on a Cincinnati Reds game, and it was Castellanos probably taking one like 425 to left.
Every single time. Bad things need to happen in Philadelphia for him to succeed. The Sixers need to lose in the first round. Castellanos will have the greatest first 2-week stretch in MLB history. If that city goes through a first-round loss, Castellanos will absolutely bug out. I know we're not talking about the Red Sox. The only thing I want to say is that I'm sad that we didn't get Nick Castellanos. I'm a big fan of him.
However, we are all safe, especially me living in Boston. I feel a lot more safe now that Nick Castellanos is not on the Red Sox. I can wake up knowing that there's not going to be a catastrophe because Nick Castellanos hit a home run. If I was at Fenway Park and Nick Castellanos hit a home run, I would leave. I would run.
I'm running.
That would be the scariest thing for me to see.
I'm running back to the train, going as far north as I can. I'll probably end up in Maine. Nothing really happens up in that state. But yeah, you're right. Nothing's gonna happen now because Nick Castellanos is not a Red Sox. But I think that's gonna wrap up this episode. Unless you guys have anything else.
I don't have any other catastrophes to talk about. No.
All right. Well, if you guys enjoyed this episode, we will catch you guys for a Final Four breakdown, and more on Friday. We hope you guys enjoyed as always. Follow the socials at Inside the 5 Pod, and peace.
Peace.
See ya.